All right, you primitive screwheads, listen up.
Well, I got a burr under my saddle.
We talk, you listen.
Somebody that's going to take an innocent life is not mentally insane?
You know them.
Time to nut up or shut up.
You love to hate them.
It's the Denton and Sasquatch Show.
Can I bring my AR-15 next time?
Sure.
Yes.
This place is half talk show, half weird daycare. I love it.
You can't handle the truth.
Hello and welcome once again to the Denton and Sasquatch Show, coming to you from California and Alabama. My name is Squatch. I live here in California. His name is Denton. He lives there in Alabama.
But as Frank said, holy crap. And that's from Everybody Loves Raymond, in case you don't watch sitcoms.
Yeah, not so much, but funny though.
Yeah. Okay, look here. Right off the bat, prepperforums.net's where we hang out. Our email is dentonandsasshow@gmail.com. And holy crap.
I think I know where you're going with this.
Yes. Before we start the show, we always doll Jack a little bit and everything. And I don't even, my mind is so blown right now. I don't even know how we got on the topic. But you ever wondered if somebody could find out everything about you, every website you ever started, everything you're part of, your name, your everything about you? You ever wondered about that? How easy it is?
Are you speaking to me or metaphorically?
I'm speaking to the people who are listening to this.
Oh, all right. Well, yeah. Have you?
You can't answer because you're listening. But I'm telling you right now, this is, what? Okay.
Just, all right, a little background. Dan and I were talking about something, and I said, we can find out where they live. And he's like, well, how can we do that? And I said, here, type in PIPL. And he did. And he got opened up to a whole new world.
I typed in some people's names, and it told me everything about them. Okay. Now, there's another place he told me about. It's called Spokio.com.
Yes, Spokio. Between the two of those, you can find out pretty much anything you want to know about anybody.
Now, you're a supervisor, are you not?
Yes, I do supervise some people. Yes.
Yeah, and you do hiring type things?
On occasion, yes.
Okay. Now, let's go into that. Talk about it.
About hiring people?
Yeah.
I hire people.
You're the best radio dude I've ever heard.
I paint a picture, don't I?
You do. So.
Well, I do not use people or Spokio when I hire people because I don't care that much.
You work for the government, don't you?
Exactly.
But you give these people your information on your resume, and you think, okay, well, they're just looking at that. Mm-hmm. Apparently, according to the supervisor that's on the other end of this here podcast, nay, they can find out if you've ever made a podcast, if you've ever made a website, if you tweet, twat, whatever.
Well, like I told you,
Farcebook.
Like I told you before the show, when I first met Hot Nursey, I knew nothing about her. I met her online, and so I did a little research, and I put her in PIPL. I knew where she lived, how old she was. I had a picture of her house, an aerial view of her house. I knew everything about her before I even met her.
That is so wrong. That is absolutely so freaking wrong. It's not even funny.
In fact, on one of our first dates, we were talking about something, and I called her by her middle name, and she was like, "How do you know my middle name?" And I never alluded or told her how I knew. I just kind of blew it off, but I thought it was funny. Just the look on her face when I called her by that.
Hot Nursey, if you're listening to this, dump that son of a bitch right now. He's a snoop. Okay? You don't want to be hanging out with a snoop.
I just like to know who I'm dealing with, that's all.
My gosh, I have friends. Hot Nursey, if you're listening to this, I have friends that would love you to death, and they are not snoops. As a matter of fact, they don't even own computers. But this, you told me this is like the clouds opened up, the sun, the anti-sun shone on me, and there is no privacy. it's like what Sasquatch told me right before we started recording. You people are worried about Amazon, the little dimaflichi that you, hello.
Oh, Alexa.
Alexa, tell me what the temperature is today, or whatever. That's nothing. Everything you've got is already out there. If you've got fingerprints all over the internet, and that's just screwed up that they will package it for you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all I gotta say. That is one of the 2 public service announcements we got for you today.
Hey, speaking of which, do you know what Joe Biden's middle name is?
Dumbass.
Robinette.
Robinette?
Yeah, I'm looking on PIPL right now. Joseph Robinette Biden Jr. Unless that's one of his kids. No, it says
it could be.
It says additional name: Education, University of Delaware, career manager at Attorney General. Well, that was a while ago, but yeah, got all his information here too.
That they want you to know.
Well, of course, I'm sure they've gone over it with a fine-tooth comb.
Speaking of Joe Biden, this is going to lead into the next public service announcement. Joe Biden, his very first speech, he might not have been, shall we say, sober. Now, Donald Trump doesn't smoke. He doesn't drink. He doesn't partake of any of the things that most of us have partaken in, which is why I really don't perfectly trust Donald Trump. But he's doing a marvelous job. But there's a difference between not doing anything at all and maybe going to the Hillary side. You know what I'm saying?
Well, as far as I can remember, Trump, his brother, drank himself to death, I think. So that's why he swore off alcohol and drugs. So,
Biden's gone to Hillary or Jerry Garcia's side, apparently. I'm not going to judge. Who am I? But if you listen to this little clip right here, you're going to say, that ain't a sober guy.
I said hard times, everybody took a hit. Union workers, the UAW took incredible cuts in their future and their pensions and the less to get GM working. They also got that last year and try to cut wages or freeze wages for their people. Right today, the same is happening in big hospital systems.
Now,
there you go. You make the choice. You make the call. Is Biden drunk or not?
Now, I'm not going to say he is or not, but I will say this, and this is leading into the next public service announcement. Biden said union workers, the UAW, took extradable. What? Yeah, but the UAW guys took extradable cuts in their pensions and their future and the less to get GM working. Okay, so they took extradable cuts in their pension and their future and the less to get GM working. What the hell does that say?
Well, it's a lie for one.
Yeah, well, but this is a PSA right here. I got notified Friday that I'm a member of the International Association of
Morons and Dipsticks.
Oh, yeah. It's IAWM, AW. International Association of whatever, and aerospace workers, but I call them International Association of Morons and Asinine Wankers. Okay, I got notified from our board of trustees for our pension that we're taking a 40% cut in our pension.
That's almost half.
Damn near. Now, we were in the green, but we were projected to go into the yellow. Now, when I say green, yellow, colors, whatnot, they have this, that's how they look at pensions. If green, you're peaches and roses. If you're dark red, you're doomed. Okay? They voluntarily place themselves in the red. Now, what that means is red alert, we're doomed, we're almost doomed. Okay, you can't touch them. The companies, because we're talking IAW, it's not just one company, we're talking many companies, Nobody can touch them. We, as union members, cannot touch them because if we try to do a class action suit or anything while they're in the red, it automatically goes into the government hands, which means we'll get about, 10 cents on the dollar for retirement. Okay, so now they are telling us, you have preferred or default. Okay, preferred is we're going to extort the companies to give us 2 or 3% more, or we'll go in default, which means you'll get even less. Okay. All I got to say about these people is if we knew where they were, that's how we got into this whole fine people thing.
Yes.
I'm not going to say that we'd kill another human being, but I guarantee you they'd be permanently hobbling from their car to their offices. And somebody else would have to be typing on their keyboard because their fingers would not be fit for typing on keyboards. Now, if you think your pensions are secure, trust me, this pension that I'm in now is well known to be a secure pension, has been for decades. And now these morons have driven it into the ground. Why? Because they're a bunch of leftard morons. Okay, they do what the Democrat Party says. They have taken our money. The company puts $5 per hour per head into our pension. My company alone puts $37 million into the pension. And what have these Democrat morons do? They have invested in green.
Oh, yes.
Now, think Solandra, or whatever it's called, went tits up.
Yep.
These morons in control of our pension invest in green. You will not make money. You are not going to take care of your people. They didn't care about taking care of their people because they have a political agenda. If you're in a union, you know what I'm talking about. You and your buddies and your shop steward and probably your business representatives, you're all like-minded. But you start going up the chain in unions, they go from, red, which is now Republican, it should be still commie, to deep blue, which is liberal Democrat. Now, this is what I've got to tell you. You need to open your IRAs. If you don't have an IRA, if you're not getting prepared for yourself, I've got one, but I've neglected it for a while. But all of a sudden, this is nothing more than a wake-up call. I'm hitting it hog nasty. Go to Motley Fool, open you an account there. Go ahead, pay the $99 a year for you got rule breakers, you have stock advisors. I wouldn't suggest going $1,000 and $3,000 to the big dogs because really chances are it's not going to help you much. But rule breakers and stock advisors will help you pick some good stocks. Start building your IRAs. Max it out. If you're old like me, you can put $7,000 a year in it. If you're not that old, you can put $6,000 a year into it. All right? And if you don't want to do that, just open up a brokerage account, buy some daggum good stocks, and don't tinker with it for 18 months. If you sell it before 18 months is up, 18 months or up, you have to pay the steeper tax. But if you don't, you're golden. Take your future into your own hands. Don't trust nobody, and damn sure don't trust a union. That's it. I'm done with that.
Well, that's what's so surprising here, because you are an untrusting fellow, as am I, and I'm just surprised that you sort of sat back on this and let it get out of hand, and now you're kind of, doing the crazy feet run to catch back up.
Well, I can do this. I'm great at getting myself in the bind and then getting out of it. That's okay. But, the thing about it is how that happened was I was doing great with stocks. I enjoyed trading stocks. And then one thing led to another, and I read Ann Coulter book. And then I saw she had a message board. And so I got into the message board, and I started arguing with retards. You know the guy I'm talking about. You know, the establishment Republicans can do no wrong. And I'm thinking, I've read so much stuff. You're an idiot. And you try to educate these kind of people, and you might as well be bashing your brain against the wall. But while I'm doing this, I understand I was a short-term trader. While I'm doing this for a few weeks, the stocks that I had picked that I knew I needed to act on within a certain amount of time, I kind of ignored.
Mm-hmm.
And they just cratered. Oopsie. And that was kind of demoralizing. So, anyway, next thing you know, here we are. We're doing a podcast.
The moral of the story is pay attention to your shit.
You damn Skippy. Okay, now look. That's the deal with Joe Biden. He's a lunatic, and he's probably drunk, and I should be drunk because I'm doomed, as you can tell. But I can get out of this, so I've got to stay sober. But, hey, you want to go again? Do you want to go next, or you want me to go with the next one?
No. I want to go because
good.
Well, because this sort of dovetails nicely with what you were talking about. LA's Mayor Garcetti calls for 90,000 trees.
90,000 trees?
Yes, he wants to plant 90,000 trees. The city bureau responsible for urban forest maintenance in Los Angeles is looking at the possibility of securing guaranteed funding through a ballot initiative, meaning taxes, to help meet Eric Garcetti's new goal of planting and maintaining 90,000 trees by 2021 and to continue the city's new emphasis on tree health. The goal was announced Monday as part of the mayor's aggressive Green New Deal for Los Angeles, where have we heard that before, which includes new benchmarks on electric autos, air quality, trees, public transit, and other areas. So all that green that your pension got put into? Well, it's going to L.A.
Man, you're welcome.
But see, the funny thing here is, besides this being really stupid, the last guy that was the mayor, Villaraigosa, I'm not sure if you quite remember that guy.
No.
He did the same thing, and he said, we're going to plant 1 million trees. Well, guess how many he planted?
4.
About 300,000. So, about a third of what he promised. So, this moron comes along, says he's going to plant 90,000. How many do you think are going to get planted?
4.
Probably. But my point here is don't believe these idiots when they say a bunch of stuff that sounds good, because they never follow through with it. Here's his tweet. There is no greater threat to our security, to our economic growth, to the survival of the future generations than climate change. I'm announcing the Green New Deal LA to lay out an aggressive plan to not just survive global warming, but to ensure that LA thrives. That came out of the mayor's mouth.
What is his name?
Eric Garcetti. He was going to run for president, and then he saw that he couldn't win, so he dropped out.
Eric Garcetti. I can't remember what, nature.com. There's some scientific type website I was reading a couple of days ago where they basically said the earth is getting greener.
Mm-hmm.
That is to say, vegetation is getting happier because of increased carbon dioxide.
Oh, you mean that stuff they need to survive?
Yes. And thrive. If they have more, they thrive.
Yeah.
There's more vegetation. And what do plants give off when they take in carbon dioxide?
Carbon monoxide.
No.
Oh,
that's
O2.
cars.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's O2.
Oxygen. You see, there's a balance here. If there's too much carbon dioxide, the plants go crazy. Oh, you know what? Democrats are against weeds.
Not weed, but weeds.
Right. Oh, they love weed.
Well, okay, look, and there is no greater threat to our security, economic growth, and survival for future generations than climate change. Blah, 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 an aggressive plan to not just survive global warming, but to ensure LA thrives. Okay, well, there's about probably 100 other threats that are way worse than that. And secondly, you got to make up your mind. Are we global warming? Are we cooling? Because scientists are now saying that the sunspots on the sun are what's causing. Basically, we're gonna have a mini ice age coming up here. So I don't know how we're global warming if we're gonna have a mini ice age.
Yeah, well, you can't. the sun's gone into a kind of a dark mode, not light mode as far as dark, but there's not so much activity. Because of that, there's not so much radiation being put out, which means the Earth's not being warmed. And like you said, we're going to go into a mini ice age.
And not to mention that, we have this new thing. Now, this is LA. This doesn't affect me, but it just drives me crazy because they're just right down the way from me, and so I get to hear about all this stuff. But one of the other things they're doing is they're slurring the streets, basically, with this new stuff that's kind of a gray rather than black. You ever heard of this?
No.
I can't find it in the story here, but there's a name for it. But basically, it's some company convinced them that, if we put this gray stuff down, it reflects the heat better than the black does, and it cools the city down. Okay, well, that's fine. And so, of course, the stupid mayor and all the city council people and anybody that's, in a position of power, sort of say, oh, this is great, we're going to cool everything down. Well, the thing they don't tell you is this stuff gets made in India, and the amount of carbon emissions it takes to make this slurry that goes on the roads far exceeds any good that it would do.
I'll bet you my idiotic union invested in that.
Oh, I'm sure they did. But what I'm getting at is they'll tell you the first half of the story that sounds great, but they'll never tell you the second half of the story. So, didn't I say this all the time? Do your own research. Find these things out.
Actually, I don't say that. Listen to me and believe what I say.
Oh, well, that's
what I say.
Well, that's the easy way to do it. They just listen to us and believe what we say, then they don't have to do the work. But anyway, yeah, these people are all a bunch of liars and frauds.
And they're getting rich off it.
Yeah.
Now, I wish I was Al Gore. I mean, honestly, I don't wish I was Al Gore, to be honest, but I wish I came up with the carbon credit concept.
Yeah, that was a good one. One of the greatest scams ever.
That was amazing. I mean, you have to take your hat off to them. I mean, that was awesome. And this whole thing is a big scam. Okay, if you actually think that we little peon people running around, if you actually think that America already has lower carbon output than anybody else, if you think making it lower and paying more taxes will help the world, you're nuts. You're a liberal. Same thing. Okay, that's all I got to say. Now,
all right, go on.
All right, well, I'll go on to Hey, this is breaking news. CNN's Jake Tapper admits Trump did not call neo-Nazis very fine people in Charlottesville.
What?
Hard to believe, but CNN anchor Jake Tapper admitted Friday that President Trump did not refer to neo-Nazis and white supremacists as very fine people. His remarks were about Charlottesville, Virginia in 2017. He had to admit that he was talking about people that was just there to say, no, don't tear down the statue of Robert E. Lee.
Mm-hmm.
Now.
Well, there's got to be a dig in here somewhere. They're not just, there's no way they're going back on what they said about the president.
They're not going back. CNN is not going back, but they allowed Jake Tapper to say, well, we were wrong on this. And the reason why they allowed Jake Tapper to do that is because we now know, everybody knows that was bullshit to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of things are coming down. The Mueller report's out. We know the truth. We know what we knew before the Mueller report was out. And so CNN is trying to grab some semblance of credibility. So now they're saying, well, now Trump didn't really say that. What he's just trying to say is that there were people that were good there.
Well,
in other words, they're going to be able to sit back and say, no, we didn't mean that. What we meant was this.
I knew there was a catch in there somewhere. I knew there was something they wanted out of it.
Yeah, always. There's always something. Always. Now, we haven't talked about guns.
No, we never talk about that.
That's just not us. But this right here, this is from Breitbart. Go figure. This is really amazing to me. Dartmouth professor. Guns have the power to turn people into healthy-minded, gentle human beings.
Mm-hmm.
You don't believe that? Okay. And he actually said guns have the power to turn people evil.
Well, it must be like that Lord of the Rings thing where you put the ring on and all of a sudden you are evil.
My precious, yes. Dartmouth professor Chelsea L. Kivland argued in the column that guns have the power to turn people evil. I'm sorry, you got to laugh when you read this stuff. Okay, when I asked Valerians why these deaths occurred, they often surmised that the gunman fell victim to magi or magic. In Haiti, magic refers to an unethical use of spiritual power distinct from ceremonial forms of voodoo, which call on ancestors to heal and protect the family.
Wait a second. Who is this saying this?
This is a professor in Dartmouth. His name is Chelsea L. Kivland.
And he's talking about magic in Haiti?
Yeah.
And it has to do with guns?
Yeah.
All right.
You're not buying this, are you? But this is what I'm seeing here. This form of magic entails engaging with secret powers that allow a person to advance at the expense of another. To many, the men died because the occult forces they had been using for unethical gain had ultimately turned against them, opening them up to conflict and failing to protect them. Yeah, I'm smacking because my mouth is dry reading that bullshit. Okay. So he's saying that if you own a gun, it's a talisman, and that talisman can turn you evil, and you will go and kill people. Now, I find that very interesting because, well, I just hit my mic here. I have a bunch of talismans locked up in a safe.
I will, okay, I could believe that, except for the fact that there are millions of guns in this country, and if that were true, there would be bullets flying all over the place.
You would think so. Yeah. But you know what? This Dartmouth professor is not the only idiot out there.
Unfortunately.
You may know this one. You ever heard of a demon called Dianne Feinstein?
Yes, the woman that had a Chinese spy as her personal driver. Yeah, I remember her.
Exactly. Is it Feinstein or Feinstein?
Who cares?
Well, I'm interested in words. And Rod Rosenstein, he prefers to be called Rosenstein, just retired. But we call Dianne Feinstein.
I don't know. Maybe it's a geographical thing from wherever their ancestors come from. On this side of the tracks, it's Stein. On this side of the tracks, it's Steen.
Yeah, but they're both Jewish.
Well, yeah. But so was Frankenstein or Frankenstein.
Depending on what movie you're watching.
I mean, if Spider-Man is Jewish, is he Spider-Man?
Spider-Man. Well, Senator Dianne Feinstein, Steiner, whatever, Democrat from, guess it,
California.
That's right. Responded to the attack on the congregation of, I must be running for president, Congregation Chabad in, how do you say it, Poway?
Yeah.
By calling for more gun control now.
Mm-hmm.
She used a twit to criticize weapons of war.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know semi-automatic AR-15 civilian models are weapons of war?
Well, that's what they keep telling me.
Adding, it's far past time we put in place concrete, common sense gun safety policies to take these weapons off our streets. Look here, Diane, if I may call you Diane, trust me, if I find those weapons on the streets, I will take them off the streets for you.
Especially if they're at a reasonable price.
No, if they're laying around, I'm taking them.
Oh, well, that too.
Yeah. Feinstein wrote, military-style weapons, bitch, it ain't military if you can't go in full auto. Okay, looks don't mean nothing. And you should be happy about that, you ugly... Anyway, weapons are far too easy to purchase. How is it too easy to purchase a weapon? You give them money, they do a background check on you, They give you the weapon. You idiot.
Well,
Anyway,
you know what? Okay, first I can shut her down right here because this kid was 19. You have to be 21 to purchase a rifle. So he didn't purchase it.
well, how could he have gotten it in California? You guys have some of the strictest gun laws in the world.
And not to mention, I made this point earlier on Prepper Forums. Most likely, it was not a California compliant AR because they make you put so much junk on there that it's really not a gun anymore anyway. I mean, I'd have to see it, but I'm guessing it is not compliant to California, meaning he didn't purchase it legally.
Well, the cop, if I was listening to Fox News this morning, and they played the radio traffic of the cops.
Yeah.
And the cop that was there, that was talking to the guy, said it's an AR-15 with extra mags. Now, from how you've explained it to us, what good are a bunch of extra mags when you can't readily change them out?
Yeah, well,
Hello?
yeah, no, I'm trying to, because there's so many ways you can configure it that make it, I mean, there's a fixed mag, it's confusing, but.
Good gosh.
On the grip, you got to put this fin thing where you can't even get your hand around it to hold, so it's really awkward and hard to hold, and then you got to change the muzzle, and you can't have a forward handle on. I mean, it's just, I'd have to see it. I really do want to see the gun because I don't think it was California compliant.
Do you have to wear sneakers or can you wear boots?
Usually they want you in fairy moccasins.
Fairy moccasins.
You know, like Tinkerbell wears.
Yes. Well, now, if you think we got it bad here, which we don't.
Hey, wait. Are you moving on?
Yeah.
All right, I want to make one point just before. Does it anywhere in that story does it say how many people died and got hurt and all that good stuff?
I already clicked off there. No, I don't know.
Well, I believe it was one person died.
Yeah.
2 others got shot, I think. So that's a total of 3, I guess, right?
I think altogether it was 4 people were injured. One was injured to death.
Okay. All right. Well, 4 altogether. Well, I'll just head on over to this little website called HeyJackass.com, where they keep track of all the gun-related shootings in Chicago. To date, April, which is almost finished, they've had 57 shot, 185 shot and wounded, total shot 242, and homicides 58, all in the month of April. When have you heard Feinstein talk about that?
Never.
So that leads me to believe that she's okay with black people getting killed, because this is usually black on black crime.
She's racist.
She is racist. But
where is the NAACP?
But I find it strange how every once in a while these things happen where a couple people get shot, which is horrible. Nobody wants that. And it's the biggest news in the world. We got to talk about it for days. Ban the assault weapon. Ban everything. But then in Chicago, this goes on nightly, and nobody says a word.
And where is that website? Hey Jackass?
HeyJackass.com. Very fun website to go to. I recommend it highly.
All right, HeyJackass.com. We are recommending that site.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as always, I recommend Breitbart.
We know you do.
Nobody will go back. And we're not talking about Chicago. Christians flee Middle East after fall of Islamic State. Well, you'd think everything's peaches and roses after the fall of the Islamic State, wouldn't you?
You would think.
Well, not true. The number of Christians in the birthplace of their faith, the greater Middle East, continues to plummet months after the Islamic State, which waged a genocidal campaign against Christians, lost its caliphate in Iraq and Syria. Breitbart News learned from various sources, including an archbishop. Unfortunately, it can be stated that the Islamic State group's anti-Christian campaign was very successful in Iraq and to a certain extent successful in Syria. The co-chair of American Middle East Coalition for Democracy and co-director of the Middle East Christian Committee, wow, a lot of words, told Breitbart. They went on to say, I think we have no more hope Let that sink in. I think we have no more hope. Archbishop Vicken, I ain't going to try it. The Annie needs to help me with this one. Diocesan legate in, this Catholic or something other. America's
The
capital. Diocesan legate in America's capital and ecumenical director for. Wow, let me skip all over that crap. The number of Christians in Middle East and North America as a component of the overall Muslim majority population has dropped substantially from the 10% of the 1900s to between 2 and 4% now. Now, the point of the matter is that we're talking about the birthplace of Christianity. That's kind of important. Historically, it's kind of important. I know Christianity has moved. It started there, and it went around the world, and the last place was America. And I understand that, But still, do you hear the dang dog barking?
Nope.
Good. You would never know it's barking if I hadn't said anything. But Christianity is dying in its birthplace area. Some of the oldest churches, oldest congregations was in Iraq. And we went there and made a mess of it. Syria, we had a hand in messing that up. Does that make you wonder about who's in control of our country?
Yeah.
That was a good question.
No, it was a good question. It does make you think. I never even thought about it before, but yeah. So far we've had Obama and Bush, the establishment guys.
Yep, establishment, globalists.
Whether you hate them or love them, their strings are being pulled by the same people, and they want to destroy America, and one way is getting rid of the Christians and killing their birthplace. So, yeah, that makes sense.
Oh, I didn't find it. Well, I did find it, but it's on my phone, and I'm not going to fool with it. We'll worry about that next time. But the experts attributed the ongoing demise of Christianity in the Middle East to certain governments' disdain towards followers of Christianity, the Easter worshipers, as we talked about last time, and their refusal to protect them. In Turkey, President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, why can't they have Smith and Jones names, has reportedly designated Christians as enemies of the state. In Iraq, the country has experienced the sharpest drop in the number of Christ followers in recent years. Baghdad-sanctioned Iran-allied Shiite militias have reportedly taken Christian lands and are harassing them. That's a nice word for killing them. Referring to the countries that have experienced the largest decline in Christians, Hajir named Iraq, Syria, Iran, and Lebanon. Now, if you don't know anything about the Middle East, Lebanon was carved out during, I can't remember the name of it, but back in the early 1900s, that was supposed to be a enclave for Christianity. Like Israel was going to be for the Jews, Lebanon was for Christians. Mm-hmm. Now, in Lebanon, Christians are being harassed to the point of extinction in their own country. Similar to Hajir's list, the bishop said Iraq number 1, Lebanon number 2, and Syria number 3. This is where Christianity is being wiped right the hell out. Now, what this whole thread was about, this article was about, is they're wanting Donald Trump to do something about this. They want him to step in. Now, he's already done more than any of the presidents ever done. But exactly what is he supposed to do?
Well, I don't know. He's got to put on his big red cape with a big T on the back and fly over there and beats people up.
I reckon so, but this is the thing about it. Now, we don't want Christians being wiped off the map. But our country, our Constitution, doesn't make it to where we can fly around and do that. But I guess we can contribute to different organizations. Maybe some of us veterans know somebody who's a veteran who knows somebody who's a badass. And we I don't know exactly what to do about this. I used to know, as a matter of fact, helped an Israeli girl learn how to speak English. And she was reading the news. We used to read the news together.
I bet she said retard a lot.
Do what?
I bet she said retard a lot.
To me?
Well, that's one of your favorite words, so I figured you taught it to her.
Oh, well, of course. I taught her a lot of words she shouldn't know. But anyway, she was reading the news. She couldn't understand why are the American Christians allowing this to happen to Christians in the different places. You know, because she understands in Israel, between Shin Bet and Mossad, they protect Jews. If they're in France, Germany, whatever, they do the best to protect them. And she was wanting to know, where is Christian protection from America? And I said, well, we don't do that. Well, what do Christians do? Well, I guess we die. Yeah, but think about that. Around the world, especially in Africa and the Middle East, Christians are being slaughtered. And this is the president we have now is the only president that has ever talked about it the way he does. Mm-hmm. But still, how do we, within the constitutional framework, how do we address that? I've got no answers for it, but if you've got answers for it, go to dentonandsasshow@gmail.com, and we'll take your comments and send them to Donald Trump, and maybe he can implement them.
Just off the top of my head, I say we get rid of all the illegals and bring all the Christians back.
Hear, hear. Damn, I'm sending that right to Donald Trump in the morning.
We could just swap out the two.
I was just reading 87,000 illegal immigrants graduate from high school every year in this country.
And are not thankful for it in the least.
At all. And you taxpayers, did you hear that? $87,000 illegal immigrants graduated high school. You paid for it. How do you feel like it? Bend over, you just took it.
Well, maybe we can talk about this on the next show because we're running out of time.
Well, I hope everybody enjoyed this show. If they didn't, you got what you paid for. Just remember, you're doomed. I still say drink tea. Never mind what I said last time. Personally, I'm drinking Crystal Light and water. What are you drinking?
At the moment?
You always drink soda. Never mind. That shit's going to kill you.
Yeah, but I say crack open a beer and enjoy it.
Yeah, because we're doomed.
Drink
Good
up.
night, everybody.
Starring Chuck Connors.